You're listening to the Joel Martin Mastery Podcast, your source of music news, stories, and 2-hour deep dive interviews with bands that have sold over 150 million albums. If you've been enjoying the podcast, please take a moment to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Now let's dive in to today's episode. Welcome to the Joel Martin Mastery Podcast. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. We are joined by a very special guest. She's achieved a level of mastery as a singer-songwriter who's at the forefront of the traumacore genre with over 4 million social media followers, 80 million video views, and over 150 million music streams. So welcome to the podcast, SKYDDDY. Sky, how are you? And is it true that growing up you had a very unusual pet that was named after a country singer?
I'm good, Joelle. Nice to see you. Thank you for having me on. And yes, I did. I had a pet goat, and her name was Reba after Reba McEntire. Yeah, we grew up listening to a lot of country in my house, so it was the perfect name for her. And she was red. She was one of those with like they're red and they have like a black line down their back. I can't remember what they're called, but yeah. I was super young. So
she was basically Reba McEntire's spirit animal, essentially.
She was.
So did you grow up on a farm? I'm just picturing like a goat in someone's house.
Honestly, yeah, no, that makes sense. She stayed in our backyard. We didn't have a farm. We didn't have any like animals growing up. So like one Christmas, my dad was like, "Oh, come out to the shed," because he's a mechanic. He works on cars. So he's like, "Come out to the shed and we got something to show you." And it was like the last Christmas present, that kind of thing. And we went out there and it was just this baby goat, and she was just so sweet and so tiny. And yeah, we just kind of fell in love with her. And she was basically our dog. If just, I don't know how that ended up happening, but she was a dog basically for us. She was so sweet. I miss her.
If your parents had given you 1,000 guesses at what your Christmas gift would have been, would you have ever guessed a goat?
No, never in 1,000 years would I have ever thought that. No.
And how long did Reba live for? I have no idea what an average goat life is.
I mean, she was still alive when I left home, so I want to say like 14, 15 maybe. She was old. She was about as far up there as you can get. I can't remember how long they can live, but she was up there. She lived a very long life.
Oh man, Reba lived the good life. That's what I'm getting out of this. So when we scheduled this interview, I put out the bat signal to the SKYDDDY fans requesting fan questions. And there was an onslaught of questions. I got the most questions I've ever received for an interview. I think there was over 200 questions. So I'm going to sprinkle these questions all throughout the interview. I'm actually going to kind of let the fans dictate where this interview goes. I feel like there's a demand here. They want to know the answers to all these questions. So we're going to do some fan service throughout this interview. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, awesome. So we have the first question, and seeing as we're talking about goats and animals, this question is from Marissa Clifford, and her question is, who watches your fur babies while you're on tour?
Nobody. They run the house themselves. So Megan's brother lives with us. It's kind of like our roommate. So he stays and is basically like the nanny. We have 3 of them, so he takes care of them, walks them, keeps them safe, and I get like daily updates and we FaceTime them from the road.
I was going to say, he probably sends you pictures and videos.
Constantly, yeah. It's scary. Like you don't want to leave them, like boarding them and things like that. You hear such horror stories about like kennels and things. So the fact that we have him to take care of them is just such a blessing.
I can relate to having an unusual pet because I have a big rescue rabbit that's fully litter trained, that's free roam. So most rabbits are about 2 to 3 pounds. She's 10 pounds. So she's this big fluff ball. So I feel you on having unusual pets. And I like to start these interviews by sharing with the listeners how the guests and I know each other. So in our case, a few weeks ago, you reached out saying you had seen the Cami Kehoe interview and you had enjoyed it and you would love to have a little chitty chat. And here we are today. And what's crazy is that interview with Cami just came out maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, and right away it became the second biggest interview of the year. So man, Cami has a massive fan base. She's doing some incredible things, and I guess you're a fan as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I love her music. Honestly, like ever since I found her through a connected friend. She had this guy named Nick do her videos, and we got together when we were in LA, me and Nick, and he kind of introduced me to her music. I've never met her in real life. I'd love to, but like I'm blown away by her and her story and how talented she is. She's amazing. And I don't know, I loved the depth of the interview that you did with her. It was so nice to like be able to kind of really see all the questions that you ask and get to know like who she is as a person and her story and things like that. That was cool. It was very like human.
Yeah, I love the 2 hour deep dive interviews because we get to ask questions that you don't normally get to ask. You know, it's not like just tell us about your new single. Oh, you have an upcoming show. You get to really know the person because most successful musicians, there's kind of a persona, you know, there's a certain image that you have to live up to in the public world. And when you can just sit down and have a 2 hour conversation, you go, oh, this is a real person with hopes and dreams that's dedicated their life to their craft. And they've achieved a ton of success because they've become proficient at what it is that they do. So it's very cool to see the person behind the persona.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, especially there's so much involved in this that not a lot of people realize. They think it's like, oh, like they just kind of started doing music one day and like we're super good at it and everything like popped off for them overnight. And it's like the grind in between that is insane.
Yeah, it's no, we got started, we sucked pretty bad at what it is that we are passionate
Yeah,
about. Over
yeah.
time we got a little better and then we met some people and suddenly we had some connections and yeah, it's man, the journey, it's something. And we're going to go through your journey. We're going to do a full 2 hour deep dive interview. We're going to cover your life, your career, your discography. I have a fan question here. This is from Kelsey Jane. Her question is, do you realize how many lives you've touched through your music? It's incredible and it has helped me so much. So that's from Kelsey Jane.
Sometimes I try to like let myself feel it. I think it's a really hard thing to it's very bittersweet is what it is because we all know what a lot of this stuff entails and how like deep it goes and how kind of dark it goes. But honestly, I'm just glad that people have something to kind of like be able to I don't just like have some kind of outlet that's healthy, you know. And I don't know, I think that it's super important to be able to the girl actually sounds familiar. What was her name again?
Kelsey Jane.
Kelsey
You'll
Jean.
probably end up knowing a lot of these. These are super
Yeah, I
famous.
feel like I don't know if I maybe like met her on tour, but no, honestly, yeah, I think it's absolutely beautiful the amount of people we've been able to touch with this music. I think sometimes it's hard to like be like realize the scope of it because I just like am consistently going and going. And at some point, I don't know, there's like this girl that made this like book where she kind of like broke down every song and what it meant to her and like how it affected her life in a positive way. And it goes like we talk about so many different topics from like abuse to like eating disorders and just like healing from all of these different things. And I love the book so much because it literally wrote down each and every song and was like, this song helped me through this and this song helped me through this. And I feel so like, I don't know, I'm very blessed to be able to be that voice for people, especially so I feel like I didn't really have that growing. There was never, especially for women, like for girls, we don't really have, didn't really have that like that person that was like, oh yeah, this is how dark it goes, how deep it goes, how like psychological it can be to grow up in a place where like unfortunately trauma becomes this like normal thing to the point where our minds have normalized it, if that makes sense, where we're like, oh, like this isn't like you tell a story and like you don't really realize it's bad until someone's like staring at you with like wide eyes and like you're like they're like, oh, this was bad and this wasn't everyone's normal life and or childhood or teenagehood growing up. I have ADHD, so if I go off topic, that's why.
We got
But
two
no,
hours, man. We're gonna go wherever this goes.
Okay. No, yeah. That's it's a hard question because it's like, yes, I realize it, but no, I don't realize it because I'm kind of I've tried to I've really bad imposter syndrome. So in my head, I'm like, oh, like you're just doing whatever you're doing and you're trying to help as many people as possible, but it stops me from understanding the scope of it. And my girlfriend and my fans actually have to remind me. So thank you, Kelsey, for reminding me.
I think it's also hard for you to grasp the scope of what you're doing because the numbers are just so astronomical that you can't actually put your finger on it. So in the intro, I mentioned you have 4 million people following you across all the platforms, 80 million video views, 150 million music streams. We know that's a lot. We know those numbers are a lot,
Right.
but it's just so hard to grasp. So, for example, tonight I'm going to an NHL hockey game here, the Ottawa Senators, and you get in the arena and there's, say, 22,000 people, and you look around an arena and you go, wow, that is a lot of people. That's 22,000. Now you think of your music's been streamed 150 million times, and it's just, it gets to a place where you just don't know what that means anymore. So, I think if you had the 80 million people that watch your videos, the 150 million that listen to your music, if you just had them out in front of you and you just saw that, then you might start to grasp what that means.
Yeah, no, I think that's so true for sure. It's insane. It's amazing and it's been quite the journey and we're just now getting to the point where we're like I just want to like be able to enjoy what I'm doing at this point, and just be able to kind of like grow and tell the story of my life and help people tell the story of theirs. And I ventured into helping other people explain the things that they've gone through because a lot of people don't really have that ability. Like I don't know why I'm able to like tell stories the way that I am. I would assume I grew up in musical theater, so that's probably why. But yeah, no, I it's an amazing thing. It really is.
2025 was a massive year for you. There's the release of the full length debut album. There's the different tours. There's so much going on. And we're going to get to that. But I want to get started all the way at the beginning. Where did this love of music come from? Is there an earliest musical memory that stands out to you?
Yeah, so again, I grew up in musical theater, so that was kind of like the birthplace of my love for music. And it was always very, not like classical, but like I was in like plays growing up. Like my mom had me in theater since I was like 4. And it was, that sounds bougie, but like it was basically like my daycare center, and it was a very small community
That sounds like
theater.
an awesome daycare center.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was amazing. And being able to be around so many creative people definitely caused me to like have a love for the arts in general. But then, you go out into the world and you eventually all of these things start influencing you in such a cool way. Like my mom introduced me to Breaking Benjamin and 3 Days Grace, and those were like kind of my earliest memories of like rock entering my life. I think another one is like my dad letting me listen to Linkin Park, like in the car. He had like a Linkin Park CD, and we listened to that all the time together. And yeah, and my mom had this iPod where she's an eclectic woman where her genres go all over the place, which is probably why mine do too. So it was like we're listening to country one day, and then we're listening to rock, and we she cleans houses, so we cleaned houses and had like it on this iPod dock and just like sang, and it went from like singing musical theater, like singing Wicked at the top of our lungs, to singing Breath by Breaking Benjamin, to singing like Fancy by Reba McEntire. It was all over the place. So I think I have a lot of the earliest memories of like music and my love for music. They're so like sporadic. So it went like musical theater. Oh, rock exists. Oh, country exists. It kind of just went in different phases, And then like becoming a teenager, you get even more into rock and that angsty kind of feeling. And then I met my girlfriend at some point, and she introduced me to rap, and I got really into Eminem and B Mike and Whit Lowry and all of these artists that were able to put their feelings into words. I think that definitely influenced me a lot, and NF especially. He was a huge influence on Trauma Core and everything that we've built so far. Yeah.
It's funny, in daycare, I was taking naps and stacking blocks and eating fruit roll-ups, and you're in like a Romeo and Juliet play. Like not all daycares are made equal, is what I'm learning here.
Yeah, yeah. It's actually it's really cool. I think it definitely it kind of primed me for being ready to like a lot of people are like, "Oh, are you nervous when you like before you go on stage?" And like right before I am, like there's like this thing called pre-stage pee-pees where like you gotta pee right before you go on stage because this is just like the nerves are getting to you. And I have those every single time, but once I get on stage, I feel so locked in, and I think that's just because I have so much history of being on stage, being in front of people since I was super, super young. And I feel very blessed to have that because a lot of people struggle with like crowd interaction and things like that. But yeah, no, it was cool. It was fun.
Your parents have exquisite taste in music, so I just wanted to say that off the top. And I have a few cool stories about the bands that you love. So Breaking Benjamin, you can see here, I got the album Phobia that has Breath on it. So these are my favorite albums from guests that I've interviewed on the podcast. And the biggest interview that I've ever done in my life was the drummer from Breaking Benjamin, Chad Zaliga. He was on here twice. So that's the most popular episode I've ever done. So people love Breaking Benjamin. They're one of my favorite bands. And you mentioned 3 Days Grace. I saw
Yeah.
3 Days Grace so long ago in Toronto. So I went to see the band Mudvayne, and this was like 2001 maybe. And Mudvayne was playing, and this unknown three-piece band opened up. And it was 3 Days Grace, about 3 months before they released I Hate Everything About You, the
Oh
debut
my
single.
God.
And they became
Yeah.
one of the biggest bands in the world for the last 25 years. So I saw them as a three-piece, and nobody knew who this local band was opening for Mudvayne. And it's crazy that all these years later, just this last year, they had their 20th number one single, which is the second most ever of all time on the rock charts. And their album that they put out last year was named the rock album of the year. This is 25 years after they made it big. So it's pretty cool, the longevity of these bands.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I think I can't remember when. I want to say I was like 8, maybe 12 or something. My mom took me to see Nickelback, and Breaking Benjamin was opening up for them. And we were like, "Oh my God, who are these people? This is amazing." And like not to throw any shade or anything, but we never listened to Nickelback ever again. Like
How
we like
dare you?
not in like a mean way, but like we became so obsessed with Breaking Benjamin. Like it, we ate, slept, breathed it. Like it was just we like I remember like just like being in the car with her, just like screaming it back and forth at each other. Like it just like Diary of Jane. Come on, like it's just there's such good songs, and I think it was the first time we ever were able to like my mom too, like we all struggle with all the things that we go through, and I think especially these older generations, they don't really have outlets like that, so music becomes that outlet, and then they pass it down to their kids. And I think listening to Breath, Diary of Jane, all of those like all of those songs that like, I will not bow, like it made you feel so like strong and powerful, and I was just I don't know, I was just in awe of what they were able to accomplish sonically and melodically and lyric wise, like is just absolutely gorgeous. So I love that. I met one of their new drummers, I think is the drummer, Keith Wallen. He's the new drummer of Breaking Benjamin. Very awesome dude. But yeah, we actually went on tour with him while we were on tour with Citizen Soldier. So that was very cool. But yeah, it's just I don't know, full circle moment.
Was the tour with Citizen Soldier before or after you did a song with them?
It was after. It was so everything kind of worked out super like whoa, how that happened where
It
I
was meeting them on that tour that made that connection?
it was so I had a song that I wanted to get together. I did an open verse challenge. Jake Segura, the lead singer of Citizen Soldier, hopped on it and crushed it. And then it became like it blew up. People were obsessed with it. And then we were like, oh, okay, well, we got to get it done. So he flew me out to Nashville, which I now live, which is funny. But I was living in Austin at the time. So he flew me out to Nashville. We got the song done. We finished it up. We put it out. It went crazy. It charted on rock, I think, which was like one of the first like charting experiences I had, which was really awesome. And then yeah, and then he was like, "Well, like, would you want to go on tour with us?" So we went on tour with him and his band, An Icon for Hire. And Keith Wallen was there because he has a solo project that he does. Yeah, so it was after the song, after Heavy came out, and we performed Heavy every night, which was crazy.
When did you go from being just a lover of music to becoming a musician yourself? So whether it's you started singing or songwriting or rapping.
I always kind of wrote songs in the form of like I wrote poems, and I didn't know they were songs yet because I hate to like blame ADHD on everything, but I physically can't like learn an instrument because I just don't have the ability to sit down and learn things. I wish I did more than anything. But growing up in musical theater, I sang a lot, and I was around the whole like the learning cadence and learning like how to tell a story and create these like arcs that keep people interested and stuff like that. So if you listen to my music, a lot of it sounds like, oh wow, this could be like a song in a musical like somewhere. But I was able to kind of take the poems that I made and start, honestly, I went through a lot of stuff, and my girlfriend was like I know you're struggling with this stuff right now. Have you ever heard of this artist NF? And he was talking about all of this really dark stuff and all this really intense stuff, and I listened to Mansion and Therapy Session, and it was the first time I was like, oh my God, we're allowed to talk about this stuff in a way that's not just like venting. Because I did like live broadcasts and stuff where I like talked about it in like a therapy kind of way, and I tried to help people. But it wasn't until I was like, all right, there's a way that we can do this where I don't have to learn an instrument. And it was like, I did the thing. I Googled how to be an artist, and my girlfriend, who is now my full-time manager, Googled how to be an artist, and we figured it out on our own. And we did this thing where we went beat fishing on YouTube, and we typed in like NF type beats or like Whit Lowry type beats or Eminem type beats, and then we just I plugged them in with the poetry that I started making. And yeah, I think it just kind of progressed as I grew up and as I came to terms with a lot of the trauma that I went through and all of the stuff that I went through. It became like my outlet. Because I was like, I worked at Live Nation for 2 years, I think, and I started as a janitor, and I was like cleaning up vomit at concerts, and it was gross and exhausting. But on my downtime, I had this really awesome boss named G, and he was super like just adamant, where he loved watching me kind of pursue my dreams. So he was like, yeah, go ahead and like go write your songs, like go sit in my office and on break and stuff. So I wrote songs while I was on break. And then eventually I went from being a janitor to being a maintenance worker. And I love this story so much because recently, probably about a year ago, I did my first Live Nation show where like I went from like cleaning up throw up for them to having a check with like Live Nation and my name on it. So I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Yeah, so it really just came from like me taking my experiences and just like putting them onto paper and learning that like, and I think this is important for a lot of artists who don't have the ability to sit down and learn an instrument. It's just like going on YouTube and letting the beat makers that are good at what they do be good at what they do, and then just lease those beats,
As someone again that can sing but doesn't play an instrument, so I'm sure you have all these ideas in your head, you have these melodies, you can go and get those beats, but do you also have musicians that like maybe a guitarist where you're like, okay, I have this vocal melody, like what chords can go under that? Is there someone that can help you to transmute the ideas in your head into actual music that comes out?
Now, yes, because I've gotten like a Rolodex or like a roster of people that I love and I've worked with, absolutely. But when I first got started, I didn't. It was COVID when we first really started pursuing this, and we were living in a camper, like tiny camper that had like no plumbing. We were living on this like campground where we were like struggling to pay rent. And we didn't really have any access or connection to the music world at all. Like no one we knew did music. No one we knew like was involved in that kind of like land, you know? Like it feels like a kind of different, it's a different world from when you like grow up how I grew up. Like I didn't, like my mom didn't have connections, my dad didn't have connections, which isn't a bad thing, but you do have to learn how to be resourceful. And that's exactly what I did. Like when I got on my laptop and was just like, oh, okay, like we find these type beats. But now I'm so lucky and so blessed. I work with Sam Tenez, who is super talented. I'm sure you've heard the song like Play with Fire, or like this song like This Is How Legends Are Made. Like that's him. Like he's incredible. And then I have this other producer, his name's Wolves, who's in LA, Adam Bukas. Like I have this whole list of people that now I can go to and be like, hey, I have this idea. Let's bring it to life. Even for Hate Me, my new song coming out, I worked with the very second person that I worked with in Nashville. Her name's Robin. And she had this guy, Derek, come. I can't remember where he came from, but he came and we just like.
No one knows where he came from.
No one knows where he came. I think Colorado, but I might be wrong. I don't want to say the wrong thing. Maybe Toronto.
He just appeared one day, just out of nowhere.
He was just magical and poofed there. But no, he was amazing. And it is always so cool to see people be able to like take my ideas and be like, oh yeah, this is kind of the idea you're thinking of. And it's like, yes, that's the one. Or I can kind of guide them in a different direction where it's like, ooh, like maybe not that, but maybe this. Like it's all very collaborative at this point in my career, which I absolutely love.
I was going to ask you about the different influences you had when you first started as a musician. You've named a bunch of them. And what's funny is, I listened to your entire discography to prepare for the interview. And I was going to say, I can sense a little Slim Shady in there when you do your rapping.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I think like most little white girls, we like had our like Eminem phase where we got really obsessed and learned how to rap, lose yourself and all that stuff. I think that was one of the first times I tried to learn how to rap, where I like went on YouTube and looked up like all the lyrics to Lose Yourself and like I think Rap God, and just like tried to learn
just the
how
hard
to,
ones, the hardest ones.
yeah, just like get like just like really get into it. I remember like I looked up, I've Googled all these things where it's like how to rap faster and things like that, and one of the things they told you to do is take how on YouTube you can slow videos down, you can like put it at like times 2 or something like that, and like you do that and then you rap it slow, and then your brain is like it's clicking for you, and then once it's easy that way you speed it up, and that's kind of where that came from. But I've always really loved the aggression that Eminem had, like where he was like able to portray all of this anger. I feel like I got like a lot of my anger from Eminem, and then I got like my ability to tell sad storytelling from NF. And obviously I think NF was like hugely inspired by Eminem, so I think it kind of just like it's like Eminem walked so me and NF could run kind of thing.
People ask me all the time, who would my dream guest be for an interview? And I always say Eminem. Like I'm the biggest Eminem fan. And can you imagine sitting down with him for 2 hours? The amount of stories that are there, despite, having 25 years of interviews that he's done, there's probably so many stories that haven't been told yet. And just to get to know like Marshall, not Slim Shady or Eminem, the person and what he's gone through. So I think that would be incredible. That guy is such a genius when it comes to a mastery of the English language, just his vocabulary and his delivery. And he's an example of someone that's just obsessed with their craft. He became the best in the world because nobody wanted it more than this guy, and nobody put in the hours developing themselves like he did.
Yeah. No, that's so true. When I first got started, it was always like I used to get really angry with myself because I was trying to perfect my craft, and I didn't know that it took 10,000 hours. And when I like realized like 10,000 hours was what you had to put in, and I stopped like trying to like be the best right off the bat, and I let myself be bad, and I just consistently like I think, oh no, I did this, I did a freestyle challenge where I did a freestyle every day for 30 days. And like as I kept going, like I got better and I got better, and then eventually it was like, oh my God, this is good enough to be a song. And then it like, you know, kind of escalated into that. But it does take so much time to like get good at something. And that I think that's where a lot of people stop, is where they're like, oh, this is hard, but it's consistency. And it's like you have to have a love for it in order to be consistent. Yeah.
Eminem is so big that he's one of the only artists that doesn't even have to tour to make a living. And so, you know, he doesn't do any shows for like 5 years, and then he announces like 3 shows and that's it. So back in, I think 2013, he put out the Marshall Mathers LP2, and he announced just like 1 show in Detroit and 1 show in New York City. So I was in Toronto at the time. I went and I saw Eminem in his hometown of Detroit. There was 108,000 people. And this little artist named Rihanna opened for him. So it was
Oh
a
my God.
pretty crazy double bill. But yeah, Eminem's the man. As a kid, before you knew that you wanted to be a professional musician, was there anything else that you wanted to be?
I think I went through a different like phase every couple of years. But it really started with like acting. I definitely wanted to be an actor. Like I was in a couple of like small things here and there, growing up. I think that was mostly like what I wanted to be. Like it went back and forth from wanting to be a singer to wanting to be an actor. Like it was always just like a performer of some sort. There was a couple of years where I wanted to be a vet, and then I was like, oh, I couldn't handle like giving bad news to someone about their animal. So that went away kind of quickly. And there was a couple of years where I wanted to be a NASCAR driver, because like my dad and me were really obsessed with it and cars and stuff. But for the most part, it was always just like performing and being on stage, being on camera or something like that. That was a dream.
Do you today drive like a NASCAR driver when you're on the road?
I used to, but like not anymore. I'm very safe, and I'm very like kind of slow now because I'm like getting older, and I have like, I don't know, you know, like you get like more cautious and careful and stuff, especially as I live in Nashville. So you gotta, you gotta be a little bit careful. But when I was younger, yeah, like I wore out my brakes pretty bad.
Do you think you've made so many music videos because you love acting so much, so you don't see them as a necessary evil that, oh, I have to make a music video because it'll promote the song? You see it as an opportunity to get in front of the camera?
100%. And I think I always have these like big visions for it, and my team's just like, stop, what are you doing? Like, this is so much money. And even for one of my first ones, Pretty Distraction, I paid for it entirely myself. And it's my favorite music video I've ever done. But it's so fun because like I don't know, I love being a storyteller, and being able to do that through music and also through acting. It just like amplifies the message and the meaning just times 10. Yeah, no, so definitely I find any excuse to create visuals for what I'm doing, which is why I think we've been able to find so much success in this, because now content is everything, and content is just a little music video. So
We have a fan question from Sarah Jackson. She says, most important question, how are you feeling truly?
that's sweet. I'm good. Honestly, I've been working through a lot of stuff, like therapy wise. I think that I'm about to turn 30. Like I'm gonna be 29 soon, but like I'm getting older, and I think as we get older, we are learning more things about ourselves. And I'm also kind of in the middle of like post-tour depression, if I'm being honest, because like I just got off this huge tour, and then I got off this other huge tour in the UK. So I'm like trying to transition from going and going and going every day to like being at home and letting myself learn how to settle into the kind of boredom in a way, but at the same time like still staying active and still staying like dedicated to the craft and everything that I'm doing. But honestly, like I'm good, and I appreciate that question. It's nice to I don't know. It's nice to have someone ask that as opposed to just all music stuff, you know?
New year, new you. Maybe 2026 is the best of things to come so far.
Yeah, no, honestly, I have a song called Best Part of the Story, and I love doing it at the very end of shows because it's just like it's one of the first songs I ever wrote that's like actually pretty happy and like hopeful. So I don't know. I feel like the best is definitely yet to come for sure. And 2026 feels like it's gonna be a good year for like everybody, hopefully. We're all in our like healing era, which I just love.
That's the last song on Trauma Core, right?
Yes.
So I think that's actually my favorite song on the album. And I was gonna, I have all these questions about Trauma Core, and we're gonna get there in the chronological order of your life and your career. But I wanted to point out that that's my favorite song on the album. And is that a song that has not received the amount of love that it should get? There's 6 songs on the album that have received in the millions of listens, but that one hasn't. Do you feel like that one is flying under the radar, that it should be heard by more people?
100%. Yeah. And I think honestly that's a little bit on me because like people listen to what you put in front of them and we kind of live in a day and age where social media is everything and you know that. And it's very much all about like how you market things and how you put things in front of people. And I think I've been so much in like my like venting phase of my life or the trauma core chapter of my life where I've been just like getting this stuff out and wanting to talk about these things where I prioritize not guilty. I prioritize oh my goodness, what are they like choker
Medusa.
and Medusa, like the ones you've seen where you're like, oh, she's really putting in work with the content with this one. I do that less with Best Part of the Story, and I think that's like in a way, not to get too deep, but in a way I feel like I don't like I'm not quite there maybe, or I'm not quite like ready to like close the chapter of Trauma Core because it feels like Best Part of the Story is opening another chapter to my book. And that's really exciting, but it's also kind of scary. But yeah, no, it definitely it deserves a lot more love than it gets. And I hate to put all the blame on myself of like, oh, I don't promote it enough, but like I genuinely don't. I don't know. Yeah, that makes me.
I know you have new singles coming out that are maybe
Yeah.
from a future album or future EP or something. But if you were to release another song from Trauma Core, I'm just saying if I can put in a vote on a song, if I turn on the radio and the announcer said with that song, they said, hey, this is the new multi-platinum #1 charting song from Avril Lavigne or Kelly Clarkson, I would believe it. Like to me, that song sounds like a hit song that should be on the radio.
That's so sweet. Thank you. That makes me want to cry a little because I just love how hopeful it is. Like it's real. There's real things in the verse, but like the hopefulness of the chorus is like there's a reason why we choose it for the very last. Like it's the finale song of when we're on tour and like I bring my girlfriend out and like there's also like this connection of like she's the best part of my story so you can connect it to a love in your life or just like being at a phase where you're ready to move forward from all the trauma and be healed and be like fully yourself. It's choking me up a little bit, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's the chorus in that song that's just undeniable to me. When that chorus comes on, you're like, yeah, that's it.
It feels good, right? It's like a feel good song.
It
It's
does
cool.
feel good. And we have a question from Anna Mickelson Winchester. The question is, how do you deal with everything you've been through? I love your songs. They heal me every time I listen. That's from Anna.
Honestly, the music has been such a huge part. Like I like a lot of people are like, how do you do this every day? And like, how'd you get to where you are? And it really coincides with each other where it's like I do this every day because I need to do it every day. And it's these like exercises that I'm almost doing where like if I'm feeling these really overwhelming feelings of like even a lot of us have a lot of repressed trauma and we conceal it and we like let it eat at us. But like with what I've been able to do and what I've learned that I'm able to do is like anytime I have that feeling, I write a song about it and I'm able to tell my side of the story and I'm able to narrate my own life and kind of guide it where I need it to be and get all of these emotions out. So that's been the number one thing. It's just like the music, and obviously like leaning on support systems and outlets. Like I play a lot of video games. If I'm feeling super overwhelmed and it's like, okay, that's enough music for today, or that's enough like dumping out all of my stuff today, I play Hogwarts Legacy like nobody's business, man. Like I play that a lot. I also like I'm a huge video game buff, so like God of War and yeah,
Mortal
it's
Kombat,
all,
perhaps.
yes, Mortal Kombat, like all the types of like outlets that you have. It's like you're able to, I think like I also watch a lot of dog videos if I'm really really stressed out. Like I go on TikTok and I look up dog videos funny, and then I just like I scroll through them and it just like gives me all the serotonin in the world that I need. I love on my dogs. I go on dates with my girlfriend. I hang out with my friends. I lean on the people in my life that I know I can trust. And you have to do a lot of self like growth work as well. And like I think that's one of the main things is like talking to yourself kindly, because when it comes to trauma and it comes to all of this stuff that we've been through, we have to understand that we have been conditioned by how we grew up or how we were raised, and it's not even just like the way our parents raised us, it's how like the world raised us. And being able to uncondition yourself or decondition yourself is so crucial, because you can't go out into the world like as like a people pleaser or as someone that doesn't understand what consent is or boundaries are, because you're just going to add to the trauma. And that's not your fault. And it's not your fault that you went through the things that you went through, but it is your responsibility to heal from it and learn how to heal from it and gather the tools necessary to heal from it. So it's a lot of work to answer your question. It is a lot of work, but it's worth it, because like the second you're able to talk to yourself like a friend and be kind to your younger self that like didn't get that protection that they deserved, it's so worth it. Like we are reparenting ourselves, and honestly like our parents need to reparent themselves, because we grew up in this day and age where like a lot of times things were normalized that shouldn't have been normalized, and we kept things deep down inside ourselves and we didn't tell anybody because that's what we were told we were supposed to do, but that's not true. Yeah, it's a lot of deconditioning, a lot of relearning, a lot of teaching your nervous system that it's finally safe. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but it is possible.
Once you decided that you wanted to pursue music and become a professional musician, did you have to deal with any kind of negativity or resistance from friends or family?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I won't get into that too much, but like, you know, there's always going to be people that are like, this is a pipe dream. Like, because at first you don't, like, it goes nowhere. And for like a few years, you're kind of just a bum that likes to make music and makes no money and has like, obviously I had a job, but like it wasn't, you know what I mean? Like they don't take you seriously because there's no proof. And I think it's really hard to a lot, because like you start to doubt yourself and you start to be like, oh, like maybe they're right. And that I definitely had a lot of phases of my life where that kind of happened. But like then you just got to double down, and because like you made a decision and you put, honestly, I think the second that things started taking off for me is the second like I was like, there is no plan B. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I love to do. I wake up every day wanting to do this. And I think that that's such a blessing to go from like, not to get dark, but like sometimes not wanting to wake up to like being like, oh, this is why I wake up this morning. Like, this is why I feel like good. Like, this is where I find my hope and my drive and my ambition. And like, and then you cling to it, and you may slightly get obsessed with it, which is, we'll let someone else handle if that's healthy or not. But like, it's, I don't know, there's so many worse outlets to have, which, you know, I went through them all. Like, it's not, I don't know, at some point you have to be like, it doesn't really matter what anybody else thinks, because this is what you love and this is what you want. But to answer the question, yeah, we definitely got some pushback, and I lived with people where I sang too loud in the house and got yelled at and was just annoying beyond belief. And But it's actually so beautiful though. It's like the one person that never felt that way, and that's just because she could sleep through an earthquake, was like my girlfriend. Like she's always pushed me to like be like, this is, if this is what you do it, and you gotta suck at it at first. And she let me suck at it, and she was like honest about if it wasn't that great, and that helped me a lot. Cause you can't have constant cheerleaders either. 'Cause, like, you won't get better. But yeah, she put me in showcases, and she learned the whole managerial side the same way. Like the artist side, like I was way down here, manager side, she was way down here, and we slowly like just grew alongside each other. And I feel so lucky to have that, because if I didn't, like, she's been like my number one support system throughout all of this. It's crazy.
I like when you make posts that show someone that sent you a negative comment. So it's like, oh, you'll never make it. And then you show like a sold out tour. And then it's like, oh, you suck. Like, you should put the mic down. And then it shows like you on the charts. Doesn't that feel great? It's massive success is the best revenge. And that's what you're showing.
100%. And I think a lot of people like to be like, oh, you like give too much attention to the negative people, or like you need to like not stoop to their level. And I say, I can't cuss on here. Can I? Can I allowed to cuss on here?
Go ahead. Yeah. Let it out.
I fuck that. Honestly, fuck that. Like, if someone's deciding to come at you and you have every ability to come back at them in a snarky, clever, delicious way, I say do it, period. Like, but it's so wild how bullies exist and people are like, don't believe. I think it's kind of like self-defense. It's like, if someone's coming at you, you have a right to defend yourself. And if someone's coming at your dreams, it's the exact same thing, you know? Like, especially because that stuff can kind of really get to people. And if you teach people like, no, like, you're wrong, look at that, like obviously they're sad or whatever, and they have their own stuff, and you feel sorry for them. But like, especially if you can use them as a way to like get more fans and get more people that have eyes on your music and stuff like that, use it. Use what you got.
So we've gone from your earliest musical memory through your childhood, growing up, getting into music, becoming a musician, finding your voice. Now let's dive into SKYDDDY. So you as a musician, as a professional, and
Okay.
we have a question from Andrew Martin, who has a tremendous last name. And Andrew's question is, who is SKYDDDY and why is she so important? Now, before you answer that, I went and looked to see if this is like a hater or somebody trolling, but their profile is like SKYDDDY fan, like all your stuff. So they're just simply teeing you up nicely to answer the question. Who is SKYDDDY and why is she so important?
SKYDDDY is the alter ego of a little girl that had nobody like looking out for her, and didn't know what consent was because she wasn't taught it. Didn't know what boundaries were because she wasn't taught that she was allowed to have them. She was small and she was scared, and she was a total people pleaser and did everything she could to make other people happy at the sake of her mental health and her physical health and everything. Yeah, so SKYDDDY is that other side of myself that I needed in order to survive everything that I went through. And I think she became a safe space for that little girl that needed it. And what's so cool is now she's become that for other people as well. And I love that I'm able to be that voice and be that safe space. And she's so important because like she's not perfect at all. She makes mistakes just like every human out there. But at the end of the day, she is someone that allows you to fully be yourself and not feel shame about it and not blame yourself for the constant traumas that you have experienced in your life. And makes kick-ass music in order to get that message out to the world.
So
Ooh, I started sweating.
So for SKYDDDY, Sky is obviously from your first name, Skylar. Where does daddy come from? So I think of, Call Her Daddy, and she has the daddy gang, and that's daddy has become like a empowering term for women.
Yes. Honestly, it really came from the power move where it's like women should be able to be called daddy. Like I am the protector of my family. I'm the provider of my family. Like I take care of my people. Um, and it really became kind of like a power move where it's like women should be allowed to feel that and not just have that like mommy nurturing thing, which isn't a bad thing because we also have that side of us as well. But it's really about like rewriting double standards at this point, and because like that we live in it. Yeah, so that's definitely where it came from.
We have a fan question from Rebecca Formby. She asks, "What is trauma core, and what does it mean to you?"
It's kind of the same as Sky Daddy. It's the coping mechanism that Sky Daddy came up with or kind of discovered, because trauma core was originally an art form that a lot of kids, especially younger kids, took to like meme pages or Reddit or anything like that, and it's a little dark, but it's very like Hello Kitty kind of pastel colors, and then it has dark themes of abuse and SA and things like that, and it really just brings awareness to dark things that kids go through or anybody goes through. And it was just my intention to bring a musical element to that, because you can't just sit there and like, I mean you could, but like look at dark art all day long, which again you can, but like there's something so strong about being able to hear a song that raises awareness in a way that like you can hear sonically and you can like recite back to yourself. And even though like my music is very dark, there's always elements of hope and like triumphant feelings of like fuck this, like fuck the fact that this was normalized, that's not okay. It kind of makes me think of like there's like parents that are like, they have kids and then they have like family relatives that are like, oh, come here, give me a hug or give me a kiss, and they like force them to do things that they're uncomfortable with. Like that is not okay, and it's so normalized. Like, but like you need to teach your kids boundaries, you need to teach your kids that they're allowed to say no, and all of these things that like again we're not taught because our parents aren't taught it, which is it's this generational trauma that we're so desperately trying to break. And that's what trauma core represents, is the generational trauma and the cycle that will continue if we don't do everything in our power to stop it.
And who are some other artists that are in the trauma core genre? Is Poppy considered a part of trauma core?
I would, yeah, for sure. The dark elements. I think anybody who uses dark themes, talks about abuse, talks about SA, anyone who raises awareness and brings awareness to trauma and the fact that we shouldn't just sit there and take it is 100% a trauma core artist.
Maybe Spirit Box and Evanescence, like those to me kind of
Yeah.
fit that as well.
100%. Grandson, like I definitely Evanescence, which is that was some of my very early influences as well. We listened to a ton of Evanescence, so that's for sure. Yeah, there's so many. I think it just came down to like me being like, I don't know. I'm not really even sure when I started like being like, oh yeah, like trauma core, this is trauma core, this is trauma core, but like it just fit, it just made sense. Honestly, I think it's just because every song I made was dark as hell, and I didn't really. People were like, "What's your genre?" And I'm like trauma, like, and then it almost was like this running joke or like this meme kind of, and then like my fans really took it and ran with it, and it's nice too, because then when you're trying to find, like, you can look up mental health music, and or like you could like look up trauma core, and it almost like there's mental health music that like kind of brushes like the surface, and then there's trauma core that like dissects it and goes deep within inside it and talks about really dark shit like domestic violence and grooming and the psychology behind it all, and how we turn into the people that we turn into because of the outside influences. And it goes so in depth, compared to traditional mental health music, I think.
I can just picture you at a party or a networking event where they're like, "Oh, what do you do?" And the guy's like, "Oh, I'm in real estate." And it's like, "Oh, what do you do?" Like, "Oh, I'm a personal trainer." And then they're like, "Oh, Sky, what do you do?" You're like, "Trauma."
Trauma, just trauma. That's me.
Do you remember the first show you ever played as Sky Daddy?
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. It was oh my goodness. Okay. So I there was this rapper, his name is NK47. Awesome dude. But I think we paid to be on that stage to open up for him. And there was like a handful of people there, and it was the first time I shared um like my dark music, where I was finally real and open and honest, and I actually asked the audience, and I think this is where a lot of like the crowd interactions came from as well, because like I think a lot of people, a lot of artists can go on stage and be like, hi, I'm this person and this is the song and it is what it is, but I like to kind of like really interact with my fans, and or even just people that I don't even know yet, and give them an experience where they can really understand what's about to happen, whether it's to kind of warn them or also just prepare them. But I asked the crowd, I was like, who here has ever been triggered? And everyone's hands shot up. And at that moment, I was like, okay, so many people have PTSD. And my very first song that I ever wrote that connected with everybody was Triggered, which was about PTSD, which was about dealing with like just any kind of trauma you can think of. And it was insane, because like literally right before I went on stage, like my biggest trigger is cigarettes, and I met the group of guys in this like cigarette train, where I had to just kind of like just swallow it and be like, yep, this is what it is. You can't, like, no one else is responsible for your triggers, but like I think acknowledging them in your own mind and in your own body and nervous system is very important. So I was super triggered already. I think they mispronounced my name and sexualized me right off the bat. Not in an intentional way, but they were like, oh, is your name Sexy Daddy? I'm not even kidding. And I was like, nope, that's not me. It's Sky Daddy. But like people think it's like funny and it's like a joke or whatever. And it's like, it is what it is. They don't mean any harm, but like literally that's the song. It's like, I shouldn't take things so serious. I don't think they mean any harm, but it would sicken you too if it happened to you and you had to relive every part. Like, and I think like it touched so many people, because they were like, oh my God, this is me. This is how I feel right now. So I'll never forget that. It was an electrifying experience, where I was like, oh my God, I'm finally allowed to talk about this stuff with people that actually get it. Because if someone's going to a concert, maybe they're going to just support their friends, but like 9 times out of 10, they're going because they want to feel something or they want to not feel something. And it made me realize that I had that ability inside me to connect to fans in a way that I don't think a lot of people can do, if I'm being honest.
Following the music you've released on Spotify, starting in 2017 with the song I Don't Want to Be You Anymore, you released just a ton of singles leading up to the Trauma Core album that you put out last year. When you think back to that song, I Don't Want to Be You Anymore, what thoughts, memories, emotions come to you now with that song that really started the journey you've been on since then?
So the crazy thing is imagine if I just pretended that was my song. That's actually a Billie Eilish cover. And it was kind of like me trying to like get my
What album is that on her EP before the When You Fall Asleep album? Because I'm not familiar with that song.
I can't remember. It was one of the first songs I heard from her.
Actually, did you release it in 2017?
The I Don't Want to Be You Anymore cover?
Yeah, because she blew up in 2019 with her debut album, but she had an EP that had Ocean Eyes on it before that. So I feel like this song has to be from that EP if it's that far back.
For sure. It probably was. I was a huge fan of her even like, before she blew up, apparently. Which is funny because I didn't really know that. But like, yeah, no, that was just a cover. And honestly, that was kind of like my first initial like, let's see what Spotify is like kind of thing. Because I loved that song so much, like about like how it struggled with like the body image and like self-loathing and things like that. But yeah, no, that was definitely from her. I think it was from another album. I think it was from her Don't Smile at Me album, which was way before all of the stuff that she did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like after that was when I was like, okay, I don't even really remember what was the next one after that. But yeah, no, what was the question?
What was the response to that song once you release, even though it's a cover, just to have something out there that you can direct people to show, hey, I'm a musician. This is what I'm doing.
It was good. It was pretty well received for the most part. It was I don't think it was until I started releasing my original stuff that people started being like, "Oh, like this is what we want," because like it's like we know this exists. Like I even did a show with a couple of bands when I was in Austin, and I did nothing but covers of like Paramore and things like that. And they were like, "Oh, you were amazing, but we were really sad we didn't get to hear Triggered." And I was like, "You know what Triggered is?" Like I didn't know they knew my music. So I had to kind of go back to the drawing board and be like, oh, "Okay, I don't have to just go out to these," because when you're first getting started, you take the gigs that you can take, and that's what I was doing. And I thought that doing cover songs and having people be like, "Oh, she's a good vocalist," was what was going to be the thing that kind of helped take my career off. And I was so wrong about that. It became, I don't know. I think it took at least 2 years to lean into the trauma core sound. And before that, it was just experimenting and figuring out what my sound was. And because we had things before that, like To Whom It May Concern and Light Up and other songs like that, that might not even be on Spotify anymore out of like me being like, "Oh no, this is cringe." But yeah, no, it took a while to lean into that. But when I first did the original stuff, that was when people started responding in like a real way, which was cool.
So I just double checked the Billie Eilish song just out of curiosity, and it is from that Yellow EP that had Ocean Eyes. So
Yeah.
she started to chart with that EP with Ocean Eyes, and then
Okay.
after was the massive global breakthrough with the When We Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? That
Uh,
album that had Bad Guy and Bury a Friend and all those. So now we both know. Okay, now we know where that originally comes from. We have a fan question. This is from Chester Nugget, and the question is, "What's your favorite collaboration that you've done?" Because you've done quite a few.
that's a hard one. I have done quite a few. Um, I honestly, gosh, that's such a hard question. Honestly, I immediately wanted to say Echo. He's not only just so talented, he was just such a pleasure to work with, and he kind of like he's become a little bit like a big brother to me, which I just had a sister growing up. I never had a brother, and he like we sat and we did a podcast because he has a podcast, and we sat and we talked for literally like 2 to 3 hours before the podcast even started because he was just like so wonderful to talk to, and we relate to each other on like a very strong level. So I think Echo for sure. We did a song together called Thrones, which was it still was slightly traumacore, but it kind of like veered into like a lane of like being able to do like the rap rock type stuff. Um, yeah, but honestly, I just had fun hanging out with him. We ate like chicken, and he like got me to eat this like hot sauce that set my face on fire, and like I don't know, it's just like good memories with him. I pulled out my neck though. Oh my God, we were doing content for that song, and we were on set, and I was like, I guess I kind of like headbanged slightly while I was performing, and I literally, when you like pull your neck out wrong and then you have just like this tinge go up it was terrible. So I was just like sitting he had us in this like guest house. I was like sitting in a tub, just like trying to like nurse myself back to health after that. It was terrible. But before that, it was wonderful. And we were he lives in Vegas, and it's just, I don't know. It's just, it was good. It's good energy, good be around, fun song. I performed it with him in Nashville a couple of weeks ago, which was so cool. Yeah, so I definitely say Echo would be first. And then Citizen Soldier would probably be second because that was cool too. We just didn't get to hang out as much as I would like. And I think collaboration has a lot to do with the vibes of people. And so far I think, yeah, Echo's vibes are just like top tier.
Echo is actually the common denominator between you and Cami because in preparation for the Cami interview, I went through her discography and she has the song Safe House with Echo. So that's how I discovered him. He kind of has a little bit of an NF vibe as well. Do you think that's one of the reasons you're a fan of his?
For sure. Yeah. I think, yeah, he definitely has that vibe. I actually discovered him through my girlfriend, who in the beginning, he was very like nerdy and comic-y. Like he likes comic books. And if you like watch his podcast, he has like Iron Man masks and all this like DC. So like it's wonderful. I'm a huge nerd. So I think that's another reason why I like him so much. But he had a song, I guess, was it called Vans, I think? But it was like fuck a pair of Yeezys, I'm just chilling in my Vans. And like it was just so cool and vibey. To the point where now he has his fans bring their Vans and they like throw them on stage and he autographs them. So he has like piles of shoes on stage that he signs. And he got like a deal with Vans and stuff. So I don't know. He was just like this cool dude that I was like, he knows exactly who he is and he just goes for it. And now here lately he's like leaned more into the mental health because he's like, I don't think he's afraid to open up anymore, which is so beautiful, especially for guys. Like that definitely is something that I lean towards is being a fan of his for.
This episode has been brought to you by the Women in the Music Industry podcast. It's hosted by music producer Rob Wells, who has worked with global superstars like Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, and Selena Gomez. Through his 1-hour interviews, he shines a spotlight on the remarkable women who are breaking barriers and making their mark in the music industry. Some of his notable guests include Morgan Lander of the multi-million selling metal band Kitty, and Pam Shane, who co-wrote Genie in a Bottle for Christina Aguilera. If you're a fan of the Joel Martin Mastery podcast, you'll love the Women in the Music Industry podcast, which is available on all platforms. So in 2023, you released the song Don't Talk About It. This is your most popular song on Spotify, 18.6 million plays. Why do you think people love that song so much?
Because it's real, man. Because everyone hears that shit. When you start talking about your trauma and you start opening up about your life, a lot of times, especially family, it's like, oh, well, don't air that out. Like, keep that to yourself. No one needs you to throw a tantrum right now, that kind of thing. Or even the world, like, you post it on the internet and a lot of people, like, the trolls are just so relentless where they're like, this isn't tough or this is fire on mute or what, they say stupid shit to try to get to you. And they don't because we don't care, but they secretly do because we're fragile. But anyways, yeah. So Don't Talk About It was really about like, it was my first time accepting the fact that I do suffer from depression and it is really a hard thing to navigate through. And even though I do that, I have always been like, try to be like a light in my family or with my friends where if I'm struggling, like I either pretend that I'm not, or I want to be for them, like want to be there for them so much more than I think that I can be there for myself. So I think it really took off because I posted one video where it was like don't ask me how I'm doing, I'm gonna lie to you. I think that very first thing grabbed people because they're like, I relate to that so much. Or like I feel the need to please my people. It's just what I do. Straight tears, I always got you. It also had a reference to the show 13 Reasons Why, where it's like, if the roles were reversed and I was fading away, you take my 13 reasons why and give me $1 million to stay. Genius. But like it really became like this thing where people grabbed onto and was just like, yeah, I'm struggling with this. Yeah, I suffer from this. Yes, this like explains everything that I'm going through right now. And especially on TikTok, I took off with like 30,000 UGCs of people just like venting to that song. Yeah, and it just took off because it was so real and it was so raw and it was in reference to not only things that I've gone through, but things that my girlfriend has gone through, my family. Like it's just a universal feeling, unfortunately, because depression is kind of universal.
We have a fan question from Abigail Riley. She says, when I first heard Sky's music, it was triggering. And I was like, oh, this is too relatable. And now I'm depressed because of the trauma. But after I listened to it more, her songs became my empowerment anthems, the anthems that make me feel seen and honored. How did she get past the, oh, fuck, this is too much of trauma core to get to the empowering, fuck them bit where she can sing and rally fans and be a symbol of hope?
That is such a beautiful question. I think because even though there's like, not to sound too cheesy, but like it's always dark before it gets light again, and you don't have light unless you have shadows and darkness. And I think having hope that things are gonna get better, or knowing that things are gonna get better, is so important. And like, and they really do. Like there's a lot of signs in the world that you can take. I'm a very spiritual person where like I think everything happens for a reason, and I believe we're all put in the places that we need to be in order to become the people that we need to be. And even if it's a dark place, it is, even the things that you go through, like you're able to use those things to help other people who have gone through them. And I think it's being able to be like, okay, this happened. What's going to happen next? What am I going to do with this? How am I going to use it? And trauma core has always been about, and I say this all the time, is turning your pain into power. And it was how I took control of my life and the narrative and my music and the world that I created and the world that I was born into. Yeah, and I think especially for obviously it's for everybody, but I think especially for women, when you think about all of the like the sexism and the misogyny and the stuff that we have to deal with on an everyday basis, it really comes down to like you can let it dictate your life, or you can like use it to your advantage and be like, okay, well, I did go through this, but there's another little girl on the other side of the world that also went through this and needs somebody to say, hey, it's gonna get better. And if I can be that for somebody, it's completely, it makes everything worth it.
So also in 2023, you released the song Pathology Part 2. This is with Don Kenobi. How did you connect with Don? How did this collaboration come together?
We found him on Instagram, just kind of fell in love with his rapping style. And yeah, we just kind of, it usually comes down to like, oh, we should work together in such a nonchalant way. And at some point we were like, it's that back and forth thing where we try to get something together and then it doesn't quite work quite right. And eventually then it starts working and they send you something or you send them something and then we both kind of hop on it. And we were just kind of a fan of each other and each other's music, and he's just a good vibes. And yeah, so we worked on Pathology together. I can't remember I think he sent me a verse, and then I hopped on the second verse. And then I think I did the chorus as well. And yeah, it just kind of flowed really nicely together. And he was one of my first shows that I did as well. I think we were in Chicago, I want to say, and
Cleveland.
It was Cleveland. There you go. Yeah. So yeah, it was in Cleveland, and that was one of the first shows I did where I got to kind of like vent about my experiences and things like that, and we got to perform Pathology together, and that was really cool. Yeah, it was awesome. He was a cool dude. He was fun to work with, and that's a really good song. It's one of the first times we got darker and deeper, but more like kind of Eminem vibe of like crazy in a way, but like justified. Yeah, it's cool.
So I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't reach out to one Don Kenobi, and I have some kind words sent in here. And Don says, I knew Sky was different and was going to blow up because of her willingness to show up and put herself into position to win no matter what. I remember maybe 4 or 5 years ago, before she had her popularity, she just wanted to perform. So she drove up to 9 hours to open up a show for me. A year or 2 years later, I can't remember, she had her first nationwide tour, and I got to open for her in Cleveland with 500 plus people. She was exactly the same. She's a genuine person who deserves all the success she's gotten. And then a little prayer hands emoji from Don Kenobi.
Oh, that is so sweet. Oh my goodness. That's so sweet. Honestly, I remember that day so perfectly because we got stuck in the snow the next day. It was like a literal snowstorm, and we were trying to get home, and yeah, we had to have someone tow us out of the snow. No, but that was an amazing experience, especially like you said, the next time him getting to open up for me, that was really cool. We packed that house. It's definitely a full circle moment of like kind of, I don't know, being kind of there for each other through each other's journey. It's very cool. I think I have a picture of that. I literally have a picture of me posing with the tow guy, the guy that like towed our car, and it was like, this is like a big deal. Like, thank you for getting us out. But I have that picture. That's so funny. I should send that to him.
When he said it was a 9 hour drive, was that just how long it would take to drive normally, or is that with the snowstorm?
That was just in general. Yeah,
And
that
and
was
then
in
you
general.
add
It's
a
honestly,
snowstorm on the way back.
yep, exactly.
At least it
Yeah, we
wasn't
were
on the
kind
way
of
there. You might have missed the show, right?
exactly. That's what we were thinking. We were like, yeah, at least this is coming back and not going forward.
We have a fan question. This is from SkyDaddy Fan. Excellent name choice, right? SkyDaddy Fan. The question is, what do you think is your best song? So this is
Oh,
like naming a favorite child, but we'll give you
maybe.
permission today to choose one song.
This one is so hard. This one's so hard because it's
You probably have recency bias where you're like, yeah, Hate Me is my best song ever, right? Like the newest one almost.
yeah. No, yeah, because I was sitting there trying to be like, oh, something that's already out, but yeah,
Okay,
that one's probably my
we'll
favorite.
let you have two favorite children. So Hate Me
Okay.
because it's new and it's awesome and it's coming out. So that's one. And now what do you think is your other best song?
I think they all have such different like meanings behind them. It's such a hard thing because they all did different things for me and they did do different things for everyone else. Um, Honestly, I out of all of them, I listen to Best Part of the Story more than anything. Like I think Best Part of the Story is probably my favorite, like in terms of just like hopefulness and excitement, and it's also just a really good song. Like it's very kind of like pop rock vibes. Um, so I'd probably say Best Part of the Story. There's Battlefield kicks ass though. I will say that one. There's something so strong and like defiant about that, and there's nothing more amazing than being a tiny little girl being able to just like say fuck y'all, like it just feels good. Yeah,
That reminded me of
yeah, so it's
Eminem. Fuck y'all, all of y'all. If you don't like me, yeah. Um,
yes, exactly.
in January of last year, you released the song "Angels Like Me" with Ryan Oakes. How does Ryan Oakes come into the picture?
All of these are such good questions. We also found each other through, I think we found each other on Instagram as well.
Man,
Both
just sliding into DMs on Instagram, that'll boost your career. I like it.
honestly, yeah, like like you got to make your own luck in this industry. It's crazy, especially in the underground, which is where all these people kind of are located. We're all trying to just make our way up, but also like enjoying the ride down here. Um, I think he slid into my DMs, I want to say, which is like different and kind of cool because like usually it was like me trying to initiate a collaboration with other people, but I think at this point he what was it? Oh, he wanted me to sing on it. That's what happened. He wanted me to sing on Angels Like
Angels Like Me.
Me. Angels Like Me, yes. I for some reason I wanted to say you. Um, yeah, he wanted to do like a Love the Way You Lie kind of style of song. which I was so down for. And I've never really been come at for like my vocals or like had someone approach me for my vocals, which I was really kind of um, flattered
Honored.
by, honored by. Yeah, so that was really cool. And I was with Echo at the time, and we put the vocals down in his studio for Angels Like Me, which was really cool because that was another reason Echo was just so awesome. He just like helped me like get the perfect take because I'm such a perfectionist, and so is he. So he understood. But yeah, I put the vocals down at his house and sent it over, and I did some content with Tommy, his content guy, and kind of my content guy, and we got to put together a music video, and it was awesome. Ryan's super talented. He's a nice guy.
So the only thing better than getting some kind words from one person that you collaborated with is getting kind words from two people you collaborated with. So I have some kind words from Ryan Oakes, and Ryan says she's extremely authentic and isn't
Oh,
afraid to be who she is, and it's super inspiring. She obviously stands for something incredible branding wise, and speaking her truth as loudly as she does is very rare. And I think that's why she's growing so quickly. That's from Ryan Oakes.
that's so sweet. Whew. That's so nice that you're like getting all these little messages from people. It's so sweet.
We, man, we don't hear kind words enough on a daily basis. You know, everyone's got their own hopes and dreams. They have a vision for their life. They're working towards it quietly on a daily basis. And not a lot of people get positive reinforcement and good feedback that they're on the right track. So
Yeah.
I think you're doing great things. And I wanted to make sure that you knew that other people, the fans, other musicians, that I wanted you to know that they appreciate what you're doing and their fans as well. And that's what we're doing here today by honoring your life and your career and your music and all that stuff. So we have a fan question from Erin Elizabeth. The question is, she says, so excited for this. Would you ever do country music again, or will you stick with your current genre? I hope you keep doing what you're doing, but I'm just curious. So is there a country background that we're not aware of here?
Yeah, yeah, there's a huge country background that so when I first got started, obviously there was musical theater, and then my parents kind of had me in like talent shows and stuff like that. And anytime I did that, I was singing country songs, and yeah, I don't know, I like to keep them on their toes, and we might switch, do a couple of things. I may have written a country song that I have in my pocket that one day I will release. I am in Nashville, so you never know.
There's also some pretty heavy country stuff that comes out now. Like there's
Mhm.
artists where you're like, is this country or is this metal? There's Bill Murray, there's what's that guy's name? It's just one word. Hardy is like country and metal. So yeah, I feel like you don't have to do just country like honky tonk country. Like you could actually mix some heavy stuff. You could put some rap over that too. Man,
Yeah,
I got
yeah,
ideas
honestly.
now for this.
No, no, honestly, that's so true. I've had that thought too. I came to Nashville when I was the reason why I live here now is we were in Austin because we were like, oh, it's like the capital, music capital of the world, so and so. But then we were like, I went to a songwriting camp here in Nashville, and I met my best friend Bishop. And I also, Sam Tenez lives here, and like a lot of people that I love working with live here. So we ended up moving here. But before I moved here, we went to the Country Music Hall of Fame. And I just like fell in love because like, I got to see Shania Twain's outfits and Reba McEntire's and Jelly Roll's jean jacket and all of this other
I'm
really
actually
cool
wearing a
stuff.
Jelly Roll shirt today.
Oh, that's awesome. I
Kind of
love
funny.
Jelly
I got it for
Roll.
Christmas, so shout out to my sister. Yeah.
That's awesome. But yeah, my friend put this black studded cowboy hat on me, and it was just it felt like I was like, okay, like one day there's gonna be like an alternative country side of me that will probably air somewhere. Not sure when, but you never know. It's a good question though.
He put the country hat on and it just felt like coming home.
Yeah, yes, honestly, it kind of did. It was my friend Bishop. She did it. She was like, "Hey, look at this." And I was like, "Oh, okay, this is cool. I have it downstairs. I bought it and I kept it, and I don't know, maybe one day I will wear it to the CMAs.
So in May of 2025, you released the full-length debut album Trauma Core. It goes to number 4 on the iTunes charts, and the other artists around you are Lady Gaga, Teddy Swims, Jin. What was it like? What were you feeling when you see your album up there with the giants of the industry?
I was on cloud nine, dude. I was like squealing and screaming, and I remember the first time I found it, I think it was like it made it on pop charts, which was crazy and is super hard to do, especially as an independent artist. And we were on a walk, and the drill, like we were constantly refreshing and trying to figure out like what we were at and stuff like that. And I found out while we were on a walk, and so I was just like screaming throughout my neighborhood. But I was so happy. I was so happy. I felt very blessed. I called like my family and my friends, and they were super supportive, and I like let my fans know. A lot of my family don't really know what it is, so if I'm like, hey, I charted on Billboard, they don't really know what it is. So my fans were really kind of like my support system there, and obviously I celebrated with my girlfriend 'cause she's my manager, so it's just as much of a win for her. And my team as well, Brian, Shafton, and Justin. We yeah, it was cool. It was a very exciting experience, especially because it was my like technical like I released my EP Into the Dark, but my very first album was Trauma Core, and to have it be so well received was incredible. So cool.
How has the feedback been? So it's been out let's, I don't know, 6 months, 8 months, something like that. How has the feedback been so far from the fans? It looks like the fans are loving it. Are you hearing things from critics at all? What has the experience been like from that album?
I mean, it led to sold out shows, so I'm thinking it was mostly positive. I've tried to just focus on the positive. Obviously, there's always going to be critics, and a lot of the album I produced myself, so there was a little bit of stuff that I had to work through to be like, okay, this isn't going to be perfect, but it received love from Revolver magazine, and it was on Octane, which was insane. There was a radio station in the UK, BBC Radio, that picked it up, and like all these different songs were kind of getting their like love from it. I think the number one that got so much love from the radio and things like that was Choker, which was huge, especially on like on tour. But Alex Holcomb, I think her name is, Vinny from SiriusXM. Like there's so many people that were just loved it and were excited to hear it. Ted Stryker aired it on his show. That was really cool because I love Ted. Yeah, it was cool. It's been very well received. People were super excited. I think we built like the foundation so perfectly before the album dropped, where people were just like begging for it at this point. And it was really cool because I think being able to, I don't know, like see just how many people like appreciated it, and like you're creating it and you don't really know what people are going to think of it, and then like the moment comes where it drops and it's like, oh, okay, this is just as big as I was hoping it would be. It's exciting. I think even Medusa, we were doing Medusa, and the music video was so awesome that we got nominated for like a film award. We didn't win, but we were nominated, and I got to like walk a red carpet and stuff like that. So that was amazing. Yeah, just so many crazy things came from it. Like it was so exciting. I got to perform at Dinah Shore, which was awesome. Like, yeah, this is amazing. This is so cool. I'm excited for what's to come next.
Do you remember the very first time you heard your music on the radio? Was it when Sirius played Choker back in May, or was it something before that?
So that it would have technically been, it's actually kind of funny. It would have been for SiriusXM and Octane, but I have this friend, Lyle, who we did 2 songs together. And the first time I heard myself on the radio would have been with one of her songs. Um, yeah, so it was probably, I think it was called Alive, I want to say, which was cool. Because the verse was pretty fire. Like it was such a good verse, and it was so much fun to hear myself like be so badass on Octane. So that was the first time. But honestly, as much as that was amazing, like it being my own song was like, oh my
That
God,
hits a
like
little different, I think.
it's so different. It was so cool, and I can't thank Vinny enough for like giving me that opportunity. It's like it was so cool. We had like videos of me like again screaming and hooting and hollering and being so happy and excited about it.
We have a fan question from Shauna, Virginia. Her question is, when is the deluxe Traumacore album dropping? It's all I've been asking. So do you have some extra songs or different versions that you're thinking of maybe putting on a deluxe edition?
Yeah, I will. Okay, I will.
Is
I
this
don't
top
want
secret?
to a little bit. Yeah, it's a little confidential, but I will give one thing away. I will say Hate Me is going to be the lead single. That's all I'm gonna say.
We'll leave it at that. We'll talk about Hate Me in a second. I saw a picture on your Instagram of you in the Virgin Music offices. What does that mean? Are you now a Virgin Music artist? Are they distributing an album? What is going on here? The fans want to know.
Yeah, that I could see how that could be confusing. They're distro support. They just support my music and what I'm doing. Jacqueline Saturn is amazing. She's the head of Virgin, and she's super just into what we're doing and the how it's very empowerment based and things like that. She loves that kind of stuff. So yeah, they're distro support, and they kind of do what they can to just kind of guide us in that way. But I'm not signed to anybody. Just distro. But they're good people. They're good friends.
But distribution is also one of the most important things. You got to make sure that the stuff is available when people go to get it. So
Yes, exactly. And having like people that know that world is just awesome. And I'd never sometimes it's so crazy. Like I was born in Virginia, and I came from friggin' nowhere, and being able to be like, oh yeah, we just like had a meeting with Virgin Records. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. We
but
have so much stuff
also
coming.
it's very frequent that an artist starts with a distribution deal with a major label, and after not too long the label realizes, oh, something's happening with this artist, we need to be more than just distribution. So it happens very frequently that a distribution deal becomes like the first rights demand of, hey, we need to sign this artist legit to a full deal.
Yeah, no, that is cool to think about. There's definitely yeah, no, I'm just gonna say yeah.
Man, we're
'Cause
we're digging. We're trying to chip away at some breaking news here. So
I know.
something will slip at some point. You have the songs Mortal Kombat and God of War on the album, which are two of the biggest video game franchises ever. I'm a big video game nerd. You've already mentioned that you also enjoy video games, and there's the influence there on those song titles. But there's a deeper cut here, the song Arkham. So Arkham in the Batman universe, there's the Arkham Asylum, a crazy house that people are in, all the bad guys are there. And there's a trilogy of critically acclaimed video games based on its Batman Arkham Asylum. That is another video game that's in here. So is there an underlying theme of these video games that come through in your music?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I really loved the idea of having video game themes going on, especially for the Traumacore album, just to kind of give it like a little bit more of like, I don't know, just like a lighter sense, but also keeping the creativity alive, keeping the fun, almost like psycho kind of vibes alive. And that's kind of, I don't know, I'm a fan of all of it. So I got really excited. I was like a Mortal Kombat's kid, and I'm a huge God of War fan. And then Arkham, actually, I really just loved it from like I knew it was in Batman, and I knew it was in like Suicide Squad and things like that. Yeah, it all kind of came together in a way that was like, I don't know, just like this little three-part series that ended up making sense.
We have a fan question from Annabelle Jade Morgan. The question is, which song of yours was the most difficult to make?
Strings, definitely strings.
That was your fastest response so far.
Yeah, I know it. I know it. Strings is so hard, especially I have like a lot of repressed stuff that I now that I'm apparently this is what happens when you get to like be almost 30. It's there's things that kind of come up and you start to like reflect from past things in your life and you learn the way that things planned out wasn't, they weren't exactly the things that you thought they were. Like your brain kind of keeps you safe and they lock things away or they repress things. And unfortunately I had to come to terms almost it's probably about a year ago now that like when I was younger I was a teen and I was groomed by an older woman and it rocked my world in the worst way possible because I had to come to terms with so many different things and so many different traumas and learn that I didn't just have PTSD, I had CPTSD, and it was just a lot. And I cried so much writing that song, but it was also really beautiful because I was able to just like be like it's a thing that people don't really talk about, especially like grooming and abuse like that. It's so psychologically confusing. Like there's very straightforward things when it comes to certain traumas like assault and things where it's like, okay, that's there's no gray area. This 100% happened. This was like forceful and it was horrible and we know that. And then there's grooming and essay in grooming and it's very like it's the lines are blurred and consent is like it's not understood correctly and you're a kid so you it shapes who you become and it was just a lot to deal with and a lot to process through. So it was the hardest song that I ever wrote and I feel like it's a really painful thing feeling like you can't trust yourself anymore or trust your brain because it was hijacked. Yeah, so that got deep and dark, sorry, but like that was definitely the hardest one. And people feel that I perform it on stage every night when I'm on tour. And there was one night where I broke down completely that I cried through like an entire verse because it's really rough and it's really painful, but oh my God, I think people really appreciate it because it's something again that's not talked about and it's not like look up go online and try to find songs about grooming. There's not many of them. So yeah, I love that song, but it was for sure the hardest.
When you play the song Medusa in concert and you kick into that chorus where that tasty beat drops, do people start to bust a groove? Is there a little dance floor that goes when you hit that chorus?
They scream for sure. I'm super white, so I lack rhythm, and I feel like my my fans are almost a little bit like me. So there's a lot of jumping for sure, and like fist pumping.
Some awkward robots.
Yeah. Awkward little movements here and there. No, but yeah, they get really excited about it for sure. That one's so much fun, and it's so empowering too. It's like it just excites you. I loved Medusa. The music video for that too was so much fun to do. It was crazy, but it was fun.
Well, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the lyrics in the song Her. So these lyrics, I'm body positive until it's mine, fighting for an hourglass and running out of time. Can you just give yourself a little dusting here? I mean, how good are those lyrics?
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Honestly, yeah, I wrote that with my friend Chloe. She's super talented, but that lyric was actually mine and it was when I came up with it, like the fighting for an hourglass and running out of time, like it felt that was so real to me, like because we go online and we see all these fitness influencers and we're like, oh, I want to be this thin and I want to like have all of these dimensions that are virtually impossible unless I abuse myself. And it was hard. It was really hard to like consistently see that, especially as an artist. Like a lot of my artist friends, and this isn't through any fault of their own, it's just something you acknowledge. A lot of them are really skinny and a lot of them wear certain things on stage and it made me feel like I like wasn't like good enough because I wasn't skinny enough, and it was so hard to deal with. And I felt like, as especially that line kind of came from, as you grow older, it's harder to lose weight and it's harder to keep it off, and it you get chunkier a little bit, and your bones are different and your body fat is different, and so like the like fighting for an hourglass and running out of time, it's like, okay, like I'm not 16 anymore. It's not easy to just sit there and be like this big, which like I was pretty skinny when I was younger. Yeah, but thank you. I was proud of that
I
line.
was driving home from my friend's house Saturday night when that song came on. And when that verse happened, I'm driving and I'm like, damn, that was good. That was a good line. Like I just knew. So I had to make a little note to not forget. Like I have to add that to the interview because that was awesome. Would you look at someone like Billie Eilish as kind of a great example of someone who dresses in a way that is still stylish, but that it's comfortable to her? So all her contemporaries are half naked and dressed a certain way, and she's wearing like baggy shirts and whatever she feels like, and she's paved the way where it's like, oh, that's cool, and other people are copying that now. So is she someone that you might look up to and say, okay, cool, someone, one of the biggest artists in the world is saying, no, I think I'll dress the way I want, and it's working for her?
Yeah, 100%. And I think a lot of artists are kind of are using that, what she kind of paved and what she kind of created and made us all feel like we could do. Like my very first tour, I dressed completely in baggy clothes. And then I kind of wanted to experiment, and then I started wearing skirts and stuff like that. And I think it's all about what you're most comfortable in. But it's funny that you say that, because I like took a step back, and I looked at, I had a show, it was a sold out show in Portland, and it was after I just got done singing the national anthem at an NBA game, and I was like on top of the world, but I didn't have time to change. So I stayed in these like really baggy pants and this like crop top, and I realized how much power I felt like I had because I was in those pants for some reason. But it was interesting, so I realized that I had started dressing how I thought people wanted me to dress. And it was like, oh, I'm this like alt girly that's supposed to be dressing like the alt girlies with the fishnets and the skirts and all of that stuff. And I realized that I wasn't really even doing it because I wanted to. I was doing it because I thought that I had to. So my next tour, I'm gonna bring the baggy stuff back for sure, and bringing it back to Billie Eilish. She 100% has inspired me personally to feel like I could do that and still feel confident and hot and powerful, and like even honestly even more so than me trying to dress like these short skirts and stuff like that.
I have nightmares where I end up singing the national anthem a cappella at a sports arena game. What was your experience like singing at an NBA game?
The whole time I was just like, don't mess up the lyrics. Like, do not, like, you can do anything else. You can like crack, I don't care. Just don't mess up the lyrics. So I like viciously over prepared, like made sure that I was like gonna get these lyrics right. Um, it was, I was less scared than I thought I would be, if I'm being honest. And I think it's because I did it. I sang the national anthem at this, it was called the Snowball Derby, and it was like basically like a NASCAR show, like a race thing. And crazy amount of people. But this was the first time it was in like, it was like a arena type. It was a genuine NBA game, so it was like this huge stadium, and it was scary, but it was mostly just like exhilarating. Like it was so cool. I felt like I worked really hard to be there, and I took every moment, and I ate it up, and it was cool too because it was like, oh my God, I'm doing this, and then I have to go straight to a sold out show. It was like, what is life right now kind of moment, very surreal. So it was for sure. I was a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie, but I feel like I've gotten to the point where it's like, okay, I as long as I'm prepared, I'm gonna like do well, you know?
It's just such an unforgiving platform because it's a cappella, so it's like you cannot hide any flaws behind anything. There's no melody that's keeping you in check. There's no rhythm keeping you in time. If
Exactly.
you ever mess up the lyrics, people are like, "Oh, you hate your country. You don't even know the lyric." Like people are so bad when it comes to messing up anthems. Uh,
Yes.
Man, it's so unforgiving. So it's an amazing opportunity. And, there's 20,000 people in the arena. There's millions of people watching on TV. So if you can do it and do it well, it's awesome. But man, it's such a tough, and you're not doing your own music. There's no band. Man, it is tough. So I tap my proverbial hat to you for pulling that off.
Thank you. People still found reasons to be mad at it too, because I changed the key a little bit in order to not mess up. You don't want to you don't want to start too. There's this one artist, bless her heart, but she started too high, and she realized she couldn't get up there, so she had to start over again, and it was really sad and embarrassing. And she was so cute, but people were so mean about it. And so I started I deliberately start kind of low, and there's so many 90% of the comments are this is the first time I actually like the national anthem, which was thank goodness, I'm so happy. But then the 10% of people that are she's off key and she's changing keys, and this is everyone's always got something they want to say about stuff. Everyone's a critic, is that's what they say. That's so true.
Tanya Turner wants to know, who would your dream collaboration be?
NF.
Oh, that's fast.
Yeah, no, it's just always been NF. He was the number one inspiration why I started. Obviously Eminem would be incredible. I think when I say NF, it's maybe that's sort of somewhat achievable. But yeah, obviously Eminem, Jelly Roll, I would literally die if I got to do a collaboration with Jelly Roll. I have so many, at this point. But yeah, probably those top three. Evanescence as well. I think we could make an amazing song together. Paramore. I could go on, but
It's wild. Jelly Roll, he's lost all that weight, and
yeah.
he I don't know, a year ago said his dream is to be on the cover of Men's Health. And this is a guy that was 500 pounds. And he went and he lost, I think, 250 or 270 pounds. And he was just on the cover of Men's Health magazine. And it's super inspiring. And I was going to say about NF, I performed at an open mic not too long ago, and there was an acoustic duo, a guy and a girl, and they played the NF song Time. And it was amazing. And I'm familiar with NF and a bunch of his big hits, but I wasn't familiar with the song Time when they had performed it. So that was pretty awesome.
That's so cool. That's amazing. I love that. Especially for Jelly Roll. That's so beautiful. I watched an interview too where they were like, "Oh, did you do any special stuff?" And he was like, "I'm gonna be honest, I just walked a lot and ate nothing but chicken." And I was like, bless his heart. I've been there. I get that. The chicken and rice diet where you're just that's all you eat. Oh my God, it's brutal. But I know, I'm so proud of him. I don't know him, but he's amazing.
What's cool is there's a big festival here in Ottawa called Blues Fest. So it's one of the biggest festivals in all of Canada, and it's not really blues artists. And Jelly Roll played his first ever show in Canada at Blues Fest not too long ago. I think because of his criminal record in the past, he couldn't get in the country, and finally it's been pardoned or something. So we had the first ever Jelly Roll Canadian show not too long ago here. We have a fan question from Delilah Johnson. She asks, did you think you would have gotten this famous?
No, definitely not. No, for sure no. I think that's actually quite sad, but it's I think when you come from a background where that kind of thing doesn't happen. I think the most famous person that's ever come from Virginia is Pharrell. But it's not it's people from my hometown. You just they don't really get out, and that's kind of sad, but it's so true. And I think my imposter syndrome to this day makes me feel like I'm not even that important. So back then it's you know what I mean? It's really hard. It's very much a mental game where you're do I deserve this? Am I as as big as people even say. Like when you say those numbers, they kind of just blur together for me. 'Cause like for one, I've been working for him for so long, but it's also like it's really hard. Imposter syndrome is the one thing that I struggle with more than anything that I'm really trying to work through. And I'm getting there, but like to answer her question, I definitely did not think this, especially because, like I said, when we first got started, this was during COVID. I was literally living in a camper, and we had nothing. Like we couldn't even pay rent. We were struggling so hard, and it was crazy. Like the way I don't know. Sometimes you feel like you just kind of woke up one day and it was like you had a rhythm going on that made sense, and you're like, oh wow, I'm able to pay my bills through this, and it was a wild. I don't know. It was a wild experience. Like we used to like duck our landlord because we couldn't pay rent, and like I remember like we like hit the deck anytime she came by, and she like slapped the rent notice on our door, and we were like, how are we gonna pay for this? Like, I don't know. So I think coming from that background, you don't expect it to work, and then it does, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. But then in your head, you're like, all right, we gotta keep it up because this is an unforgiving job that you have to stay so dedicated to. And I love it, and I feel so blessed that I'm able to wake up every day and do it, but it is a lot of work.
We've gone through your entire career. We've made it. We're 5 days into 2026. I want to talk about the future here before we wrap up. You've been teasing this new song called Hate Me. I'm seeing the videos. I'm seeing the clips. That song slaps, as the kids like to say. Are you allowed to say when it is going to get released, or is that not official yet?
I'm just gonna say soon. That's all I can give you is soon. I'll say super soon.
Can we say Q1, like in the next 3 months?
Yeah, I can give you that. Yes.
Okay, I'll take it. We have a fan question from Yvette Mikalowski. She says, the song Hate
Okay.
Me. What's the story behind it?
Oh golly. Honestly, I think it really came from a lot of different things. Especially because it can be towards any kind of relationship that you have. It's not just like, oh, like a relationship with a boyfriend and girlfriend or so and so. Like it can be like family. There's so many elements that came from it when we were writing it. A huge part of it was like, I can't get too far into the story if I'm being honest. But I don't know, at this point, I just feel like it's just a lifetime of unprocessed stuff that I went through that I didn't have boundaries to get through, and I struggled with so much. And, I talked about the grooming stuff, and I guess that was one of the main ones where it was like this person comes along, and like I was a teenage girl, and they're like, I can take you away from all this, and then she moved me into our house, and it was like, I'm gonna save you, and it's like, okay, but if you really cared about this person, you wouldn't do the things that you're doing. You wouldn't be deliberately manipulating them and crossing their boundaries and not letting them form their own thoughts and things like that. So it's like, you say that you're gonna save me, but you fucking hate me. Like it's any person that has come in your life that's like, I'm gonna fix you, and I'm gonna make everything better for you, and it's at the expense of you losing who you are in order to benefit whatever selfish desire that they have. So it was a lot of different things, from my experience to experiences that like my family members have had, that my girlfriend has had. I think there's a lot of elements of religious trauma that I didn't really realize, because especially the like, be saved. Like, I want you, you say that you're gonna save me, but you fucking hate me. Like if like a Christian comes along and it's like, oh, repent, don't be gay. Like I'm gonna save you from this. It's like, no, you do not, like, you hate who I am. Like, that's not real. That's not real love. Like, and I'm a Christian myself, so like I know that. So it's, it just gets to a point where there's so many people in our lives that like to take advantage of who we are and our kindness and our unfortunate naivety. And it was, yeah, hate me is just that defiance, that liberating feeling of like, oh, I finally get what you're doing, like, and you hate that because you now no longer control what I do, who I am becoming, and that's such an empowering, incredible feeling. Like, and I think that's why Hate Me is my favorite song ever so far, because it's just so like, it's about taking your power back, and you get to while singing that song and listening to that song. Yeah.
The hook of the song, the part where you say, you hate that I know the real you, hollow, shallow, see through. Man, that hook is so good. And you know it. You know that hook is good. Uh, is this going to be is this going to be the official banger of 2026 when this drops? I mean, is this going to be the song that slaps for 2026? I think it might be.
For sure. Absolutely. It's going to be everywhere. Manifesting it now. It's yeah, 100%. Especially cuz like it's just perfect for 2026. People are finally seeing through the bullshit of the relationships that they're in, or the people that they have in their lives. Kick them to the curb, sing that song at them, and carry on with your bad self.
We have someone that's asking about three other songs. This is Samantha Gumaz. She says, there are three songs I'm really excited for. I was wondering if you plan to release them next year. Halo, Dark Side, District 1.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. She can rest easy knowing that those songs will be released. And I love those songs. District 1 might have a different name, honestly, just because it's the one she's talking about. It's very it's kind of hush hush. I can't talk too much about it, but yeah, no, I will say yes. She is going to get those songs.
I want to touch on the touring that you did last year. So you did a 3-month tour a few months ago. And we have a fan question from Lex Musgrove. Lex says, what moment on stage stuck out to you the most? I was there in Pomona, so I got to see you pull a girl on stage to sing Medusa. Keep being amazing. We
Oh,
love you.
oh, that's so sweet. That one was really fun. That was really cool. It was a little girl and she sang Medusa with us, and she got to have her moment. That was amazing. I still need to post that video because it's so cute and the world deserves to see that. But I think my favorite would be I so when we were in the UK, I surprised my girlfriend on her birthday with a cake and everyone singing happy birthday to her, and I dragged her on stage, and we got to have just this moment where we celebrated her. And she is the type of person that just like doesn't get big birthdays and never really got big birthdays, and it was always rescheduled and things like that. And just the look on her face of being appreciated, and again, her like not only being my girlfriend, but my support system, my manager, like someone that always fights for my dreams to come true, getting to see her light up and feel appreciated. Um, that was definitely one of my favorite experiences on the UK tour. And then the US tour, I got to crowd surf for the first time in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and it was like 1,000 people. It was insane, and I felt so like safe, which was amazing. So I've had experiences in the past with fans where they disrespect my boundaries and things like that, and that was really hard for me to like kind of move forward from. But when I did, like I was like, this seems like the type of person to like the type of place to crowd surf, and I was like, what do you guys think of that? And I like asked the venue while I was on stage, and they're like, yeah, you can do it. So I did it, and it was so cool, just feeling all those people just like supporting me emotionally and physically. I was crazy. It lasted like maybe 60 seconds, but it was incredible.
I have three funny crowd surfing stories from when I was younger. So take this as advice of what not to do when you crowd surf. So
Yeah.
one time I crowd surf and I was wearing, I don't know why, I was wearing like tearaway pants that someone would use for jogging. And at one point I'm crowd surfing and I see my pants start going the other way. So
Oh
for the
my,
whole so for the whole show I was in my boxers, and at the end of the show when 2,000 people cleared, I found my pants all the way in the corner of the room. So number 1, don't wear tearaway pants. Number
oh my,
2, I went to a concert once where I don't know why, but I had just a pocket full of toonies. Like that was my money for the event, just a bunch of toonie in Canada, like $2 coins. And yeah, I start crowd surfing and I just see all the toonies sprinkling out over the crowd. And I realize, okay, don't have loose change in your pockets when you crowd surf. And number 3, I was crowd surfing and I had an eyebrow ring at the time and it got caught on someone's shirt. So I'm going one way and the eyebrow ring's going the other way. Luckily, it just popped open. It didn't rip through. So you have facial piercings, just be careful with the facial piercings with people's shirts. So that's my advice. If you take anything out of this interview today, it's my crowd surfing advice.
understood. I was a little nervous. I went to Warped Tour when I was probably like 18, 19. And I got up there and they kind of like moved me towards this girl that did not have the strength to carry me. So they physically dropped me on my head and I blacked out and woke up in an EMT tent. That was my only experience with crowd surfing. So I'm glad I have a new one to replace it with, but that's good to know. Like no tearaway pants and careful with the piercings. That's crazy.
And no change.
The pants and no change.
It'd be funny if you had never rapped before and then they dropped you on your head and you got up and you could rap like Eminem and that was like the start
God.
of your superpower.
Right? I wish that was my origin story.
We're going to start telling people today that that's your origin story. So the only show that you have currently announced is for January 23rd in Nashville. This is a charity event. I'm sure there's going to be other shows in 2026. And before I ask you about that, I have fans from all around the world that are requesting shows. So I want to show you how much demand there is for you globally. So just sit tight and take this in, okay?
Okay.
Cherry asks, would you come to Latino America sometime? I would love to scream your song with you. Juliet says, would France be included in any tours? Crystal says, when will your tour be in Australia? Zoe Goge asks, would you ever do a tour in the UK? I would sell my soul. Gabrielle Gabby says, will you ever come to Europe? Leslie says, can you come to Belgium? M says, would you ever come to Hong Kong for a show? I'd love to see you and support you. SHS says, please come to Spain. Ada Blueluck says, will you ever come to Sweden? And now, last but not least, I've rounded up my country of Canada to make a compelling case for a Canadian tour next year, or this year now that we're in 2026. This is from Canada, my people. Miss Ghost says, would you ever come to Edmonton, Alberta, Canada for a tour? If so, I'd be so excited and I'd spend all my check just to see you in concert. Then Kelsey Green says, will you ever tour outside of the US? I'd sell my soul to see you in Canada. Katia Belil says, do you think you'll tour in Canada next time? I would come to Montreal. Then Brianna responded saying, or Toronto. And then I responded, or Ottawa. So I got in on the mix. So that is the demand globally. Having said that, will you be playing shows besides the charity event in a few weeks? Will you be doing other shows for the fans that are demanding?
Yes, I will. I'm gonna just leave it at that. Not sure exactly when or where, mostly just because we were focused on on other things at the moment. But I will say yes, and that is amazing. Seeing how many people want to scream these songs with me. That's so beautiful.
And if all these amazing fans buy a ticket to this hypothetical 2026 tour, what can they expect from a Sky Daddy concert?
It's like a mixture of a therapy session and a comedy show and a concert, but really is kind of what it is. There's so much involved in it. Expect to laugh and to cry and scream and to rage and to feel things you have never felt before, and kind of be able to feel safe and held and able to get the things out that you need to get out that are usually silenced, and made you feel different or alone or broken, because you're not. You're just a human, and the human experience is vast and it's hard, and we all need an outlet, and that is what trauma core is.
We've made it to the final 4 questions. Can you handle these 4 questions?
Yes, I believe so. Depends, actually.
This is from Ellie Fox. Her question is, what is your most significant achievement? And how did it make you feel? And how did you finally reach it? So most significant achievement.
That is such a good question. It would probably be charting, like, because you don't expect to do that, especially as an independent artist. It's just you're fighting for so long to get to a point where you're able to be up there on charts with artists that are like signed to these major labels and have been doing this for a really long time. And yeah, I think charting would probably be the number one thing, because it meant that I was truly making noise at that point, and that's how I got it, is making that noise, is not shutting up and not letting people dictate who I'm becoming or what my music represents. Yeah, that would probably be the number one thing. I also think there's something coming up in February that
Breaking
is
news.
that's a huge achievement, that I'm so excited to be able to do and share with people. That's probably going to be my biggest achievement so far. So stay tuned for that.
And now when you look back on your life and career, what are you most grateful for?
The fact that I have a support system, because this is hard stuff, like, and this is really intense music. And if I didn't have a support system, whether it was my fans or my girlfriend, I I wouldn't be able to do this. So definitely the support system that I've been able to create, and I think the insight into who I am now as a person, and learning to accept the fact that, like, going back to the deconditioning of things, like, I am a human that was conditioned at a very early age to believe certain things that aren't necessarily true. And because of this career, I have learned how to say no, how to set boundaries, how to put myself first, how to accept the fact that I'm a human and I make mistakes. And that does not mean that I am unlovable or unworthy. I am just living the human experience and allowed to learn from those things and move on. And yeah, I think my whole life growing up, I just felt very small and unheard. And now I don't. And I can't thank the people around me enough for responding so well to what I'm doing.
If you could sit down next to your 10-year-old self and you could whisper words of advice, taking everything you've learned since 10 years old, so all the lessons and mentorship and experiences, the highs and lows, the successes and failures, what do you whisper to cute little Sky sitting there to help guide her through this human experience?
Be loud. My whole life growing up, I felt like very silenced, very like, don't be too loud, don't be like obnoxious, don't take up too much space. Like, I would tell her to take up all the space, and do it fast and fail quickly. I think that would be another one that I tell her, is like, fail fast, because the second you fail fast is that's where success comes from. And learning that failure is okay and it's normal. And I'd mostly just tell her that I've got her, that she's safe, and she's gonna be okay.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the fans that have supported you from the very beginning?
I feel like just thank you, and that this wouldn't be possible if it weren't for them, and that there is so much more to come, and I'm really excited for them to see that and continue on this journey with me and see what's coming next. I don't know. And that they're the best part of my story.
So as we wrap up, I want to take a moment to acknowledge you for your lifelong pursuit of mastery as a singer, as a songwriter, as a rapper. I want to acknowledge you for having a big vision for your life, for setting these goals and working towards them on a daily basis. You've achieved so much. Your success has shown the rest of us what's truly possible if we also give it everything we've got in pursuit of those dreams. I want to thank you for putting out great music that's become the soundtrack to the lives of millions of people around the world. And last but not least, I want to thank you for this interview, for sitting down with me for the last 2 hours, answering all my ridiculous Sky Daddy questions. So Sky, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. This was amazing. You were such a beautiful interviewer. I honestly 2 hours flew by. I didn't even know we were on for that long. But thank you so much for having me. This was amazing.
You're very welcome. Thank you for the kind words. So to the Sky Daddy fans, to the podcast fans, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Who would you like me to feature next for a 2-hour deep dive interview? You can let me know in the comments. You can also send me an email at joelmartinmastery@gmail.com, or you can reach out to me on all social media platforms at joelmartinmastery. So I am done. I am complete. I approve this message, and I'll see you on the next episode.